When you see pressure like this, you know there's going to be a geyser. Welcome back to Nate the Hoof Guy. With just a few strokes with a knife, I was sure that it was going to let loose, but it didn't. There's something plugging it up. You can see that small mark in the sole there. That's what allowed that bacteria to get in there and cause this situation. When you have this much pressure, though, you never want to stand right in front of that, because when it does go, it'll get all over you. Several times in this trim, I've had false alarms thinking it was ready to go, and then no. A few more strokes yet before we get that to go. You can tell there's something plugging that up. You know, normally when you push on that, you can get it to let loose. There's still pressure in there. This pressure buildup is caused by the cow's body's response to trying to fight those bacteria off. And when all those fluids get together, they end up causing a lot of pressure, and they have to be released somehow, either out the top or out the bottom like this. Sometimes the fluid is locked deep in the claw, and other times it's bubbling right below the surface. Welcome back to Nate the Hoof Guy. Now, as soon as I picked this hoof up, I could tell that it was tight. I knew there was pressure inside here, but I didn't expect it to be that close to the surface. Based on the look of this, I thought I'd have to work a little bit to get inside there before it would be released. But I was wrong. Much of the discomfort that cows experience because of a problem like this has to do with that pressure inside. So by releasing that, we're making her feel better almost instantly. Now in this case, you can tell based on the shape of that mark that something has probably poked through that sole and caused this infection. That pressure is a result of that, and now we need to get this trimmed up and investigate it a little closer. Having thinned that sole down to a manageable level, now we can get that knife out and do the fine detail work. When dealing with a puncture, you're never really sure if there's going to be a large area of corium disturbed or just a small area. We'll find out when we get in there. How can I tell that it was a puncture and not some other type of hoof problem? Based on its location and the shape of that mark in the sole. Because it's located right in the center of the claw, that's an odd place to find any other type of problem, so that's why it's likely to be a puncture. The shape of that mark that was originally in that sole, a straight line like that, also tells me that that is some unnatural thing that has caused that. Now it's just a matter of defining the margins and treating it as such. Luckily for her, only a small area was affected. Some hoof problems, well, they're hard to spot. This one is not. Welcome back to Nate the Hoof Guy. What we have here is your classic white line defect. You can see the redness in that white line. That's more evidence of the flaw that's in this white line. The lesion that's underneath, well, this one looks a little bit different, and you'll see that as we get in there. When a lesion develops, pressure begins to build in and around that lesion, and ultimately that sole becomes separated, and as that pressure works its way out the top. Here you can see that separation up above. You can see that dark area. You can tell that these two are connected. So I'm going to continue to work and make sure that we get all of this loose horn away. Typically, when you find separation around a lesion, it's going to work its way out in kind of a circular manner. This one didn't do that. This separation is held tight to that lesion, so we have to work carefully, slowly lifting this away as we work. The hook of that knife comes in handy as I'm able to get that up underneath that loose horn and lift it as I remove it. Rinsing as I go allows me to see the margins of this separation, and you can tell it's real close to that lesion. Once again, careful work is needed here. We don't want to cause any extra damage, so we just slowly work, lifting that horn away as we go, revealing the entire lesion, and then we can ultimately clean it all away. Once all of that loose horn is removed, a thorough wash down with chlorhexidine, a pat dry, and then we can put that salicylic acid wrap in place. After that, well, then she is done. Now typically, we're going to find the problem on this claw, but not today. The problem is going to be right here. Welcome back to Nate the Hoof Guy. Now you'll notice there's a potential problem right here on this other claw as well. But the real issue is going to be down here, so we're going to tackle that first. Now what at first appears to be a white line issue is actually a puncture. We can tell that based on the location of this particular mark. You'll notice it's not in that white line, but toward the inner portions of that hoof. And the lesion that we find underneath, well, that's where that's going to be as well. You'll begin to notice some darker shading right in here. That shading is what guides me as far as what hoof horn needs to be removed. If I see that shading, I know that that means there's some separation there, so that's the area I'm going to focus on, removing all of that loose horn around it. Now that separation we see, that's the cow's body's response to try to get rid of this problem or to fix this problem. If there's something caught in that sole, by her releasing that sole and having it fall away, that takes care of that potential problem, and then that corium begins to grow a new sole underneath. Now, of course, there's nothing in there. She must have stepped on something that poked through this sole, but the cow doesn't know that, so the same type of response happens as normally would. That sole separates. We need to remove that to expose that corium underneath that may be damaged from that potential puncture, and then we're able to treat it more effectively, get oxygen to that area. We're able to take care of any problems that might be on that corium, growing on that corium, or the damage to that corium in the process of trimming. If we didn't trim this hoof horn away, it would likely take much longer for this to heal. That sole would have to completely fall away, and then it would take time then for the new sole to grow. And in that time, we could have potential complications that would delay the healing even further. Now, if we look over to that other claw, that potential problem we saw there, you'll notice as I pare that away, there's nice white hoof horn underneath. which is good. That means we're able to get a block on that claw, taking the pressure off of this one. Salicylic acid is used to take care of any bacteria that might be there. The wrap holds it in place, and a block takes the weight off that other claw, and she is done.